All right, really excited to sit down with 25th head basketball coach of LSU men's basketball, Matt McMahon. Coach McMahon, welcome to Baton Rouge. Really excited to talk to you today.
Hey, thanks a lot, Cody. Honored to be here. Can't wait to get to work.
Yeah, I'm really excited to talk to you. Getting to know you so far has been really awesome. I like to do this with all of our coaches when they first get here and grill them on their background. So tell me about where you're from, Oak Ridge, Tennessee, the roots that you have there, and how that place and the people there shaped you and kind of got you started on this coaching path.
Well, born and raised in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. That's definitely home for me. My mom and dad, two most influential people in my life. Really been blessed with a great family. I have two brothers, a sister. They've started their families as well. But growing up there, sports are huge. Oak Ridge Wildcats have produced a lot of pros from Oak Ridge High School in multiple sports. A lot of great coaches have come out of Oak Ridge. It's a place that has a very passionate fan base, and that's where I really fell in love with the game of basketball. And really outside of my parents, the most influential people in my life have been my coaches.
Yep.
And so was really fortunate to play for Chuck Carringer at Oak Ridge High School. I had two assistant coaches, David Scott and the late Stan Ballard, who were all very influential in my life and gave me the opportunity to learn under great coaches. And that gave me the opportunity to go on and play at the next level.
Tell me about your introduction to the game. I was doing a little research, and I read that maybe you grew up going to NCAA tournament games with like a big group of people. How'd you fall in love with basketball?
Yeah, a lot of fun. My dad, my godfather, my brothers, there's a group of about 30 people.
Yeah.
And every year we go to a different NCAA tournament site. And so fell in love with March Madness early. Was the 7 or 8 year old kid trying to find a way to skip school on that Thursday and Friday of the first round so I could stay home and watch the games. And from that point forward, really just started the dream for me. Always dreamed of getting to play in the NCAA tournament. Was fortunate to get to do that my senior year at Appalachian State. And then as I made it into the coaching profession, always dreamed of not only playing in the NCAA tournament, but winning in the NCAA tournament.
What are some of the games you remember? In my research, I saw that maybe you were at the LSU Tennessee game with that guy right there, Chris Jackson, Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, and Allen Houston. That wasn't an NCAA tournament game, but what are some of the games you remember from your childhood that kind of capture that magic for you?
Well, that's the first one. Chris Jackson was my favorite player growing up. Just loved the way he played the game, his ability to score, his creativity, his shot making.
Yeah. Really
haven't seen many players like him since even. Yeah. Was at the SEC tournament game in Knoxville growing up when him and Allen Houston went back and forth.
He had like 49. Allen Houston had like 40-something.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
I hope it's on film somewhere. I'd love to go back.
We'll probably dig it up, Ken. I think we can make that happen.
But that one was in the Greensboro Coliseum when Rip Hamilton hit a buzzer beater to beat Washington.
Yep.
Was in the Greensboro Coliseum. Chris Lofton at Tennessee hit an unbelievable shot to beat Winthrop. Nashville, we were in Bridgestone Arena. Maryland hit a ridiculous 3 to beat Wilmington at the buzzer. It's why everyone loves March Madness. So it's been a great blessing to be a part of it 3 of the last 5 years, and I can't wait to get back.
That magic feeling that you felt as a kid, do you still feel that when you go to the tournament the last 3 times you've been?
It's the greatest.
Yeah.
And as I said earlier, the only thing better than being in the NCAA tournament is winning in the NCAA tournament and getting to advance on to the next round. But no, it's a dream come true for me. You know, being here at LSU is a dream come true. And we're going to work hard. We're going to invest a lot of time in our players and in our community. But we're also going to enjoy it and have a lot of fun along the way.
Yeah, when I was digging into your past, just seeing the core values that are integral to your program and the team standards, I want to get to those in a second, but I have one more background question. This is kind of out of left field, but I don't think this is your first time on mic. Did you have a radio show in high school, the McMahon Report? Does that ring a bell?
Yeah, it was probably very poorly done by me, but did. I loved Oak Ridge football.
Yeah.
I mean, I played in my high school teammates. 2 of them played at Alabama football. 1 went to Florida.
Oh, wow.
So it's a big time place for athletics.
Yeah.
And, so David Clary, who was the voice of the Wildcats, still is.
Yep.
To this day, had me start the McMahon Report for the pregame show. I'd interview some of my basketball teammates and classmates to get ready for that Friday night under the lights.
Did you learn anything from that experience, the art of the interview?
That was really bad. But no, I enjoyed it. It was fun. And it was, for me at the time in high school, those were my friends. So we had a good time with it.
So after high school, you went to Appalachian State as a walk-on, right? Tell me the story there, and then just the mentality that you developed as a walk-on, having to earn everything, having to work for everything, and how that formed who you would become as a coach.
Yeah, long story. I'll try and work through it quickly.
Take your time.
Really at the end of my high school career, didn't know what I wanted to do or where I wanted to go. And Houston Fancher, who ended up being the head coach at Appalachian State for 9 years, is now with North Carolina State's women's program. He went with Buzz Peterson as an assistant coach when Buzz Peterson left Vanderbilt and took over the head job at Appalachian State. They presented an opportunity to walk on there, be a part of the program. I did my research at the time. Buzz Peterson, coming from the Dean Smith, Carolina way, that North Carolina tree, was something that was very intriguing to me, and I wanted to learn under. I went into it with the mindset I wanted to play. Yeah. And so I wanted to start at the Division I level, and if for some reason it didn't work out, I could have moved on. But my goal when I got there was to outwork everybody and really find a way into the rotation, and was fortunate to do that and earned a scholarship. And we won the league the last 3 years there. I got to go to the NCAA tournament. Really the hard work, the toughness that winning requires, the accountability, those were really ingrained in me there playing at Appalachian State for Coach Peterson.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about Coach Peterson. You mentioned him coming from Carolina, playing for Dean Smith, Michael Jordan's roommate. Any good MJ stories that he told you? But more than that, just what he instilled in you on a deeper level that sticks with you today.
I think as a coach, you're trying to form your own philosophy. And so getting to learn under that Carolina way, the Dean Smith way of doing things was very impactful for me. And then having the opportunity not only to play for Coach Peterson and Coach Fancher, but then over the next 10 years, I would work for them on 3 different occasions. And so, it helped shape me into who I am today, not just as a coach, but as a man, always putting your family first in everything you do, having that great balance in life. And then, probably most importantly from a coaching standpoint, just investing in people. I really took that away from my experiences with them. It's really the only guarantee I make from a recruiting standpoint. Can't guarantee anyone they're going to average 30 a game. Can't even guarantee they're going to get a 4.0. But I can guarantee you no player will find a coach who's going to invest more in them. Time, energy, effort, care. That's the fun part of the job for me. Is seeing players develop on and off the court. Yeah,
that's become clear, just the reaction over the last couple of days from some of your former players, and it's been really, really positive, impressive, and speaks to your character. Before we get into some of those values that form your program, I want to ask you one last question about your formative years in coaching. I read that you had at some point decided to start reading as many leadership books as you could and put together a notebook on that. One, do you still have that notebook anywhere? But is that still a habit that you utilize today?
I still have the notebook and have continued that on. Don't read as much as I need to now with 3 kids.
Yeah, it's hard.
We do a lot of pickups and drop-offs.
Yeah, audiobooks.
That take away from some of the time there.
Sure.
But, no, that's important to me. I think as a coach, you really don't have any excuses as to why you're not developing and growing. There's just so many resources out there. I enjoy studying other coaches, studying leadership, team building, really the mindset of elite athletes, and trying to add those to my own coaching philosophy. And so between that and all the YouTube videos there's just no reason to not get better every day.
Yeah.
So that's how I try to do it. Still have the notebook, but it's still growing.
I want to see first I want to see the notebook if you ever mind showing it to me. But I want to dig into some of what you were just talking about and implementing that with your program. But let's zoom back a little bit and talk about some of the values that make up your program and how they'll carry over here. At Murray State, you had 5 core values: hard work, unselfishness, toughness, accountability, and joy. One, if you would define those for us, and are those things that will carry over here? I would assume so, but I don't want to make any assumptions. and then also how you came up with those and how those were developed.
Well, those will definitely come with us to LSU. It's what I believe in. It's who I am.
Yep.
And that won't ever change. For me, I think the most overused word in sports is culture. Everyone throws it around, but they can't clearly define what it means or what it means to them. And for us, the culture will be the foundation of who we are and what we're about and how we live every day on and off the court. Those 5 values, I think it's my responsibility as the head coach to provide simplicity, clarity, and intentionality throughout the program. And so we define everything. For me, hard work is elite performance requires elite preparation. It's that simple. Unselfishness, do you make the people around you better? Toughness, the ability to move on and focus on the next most important thing. Other way we define it with our players, just your ability to perform consistently at your very best, regardless of the competitive circumstances. And then accountability, I think, do your actions and your words match? Oftentimes, they do not. I think it's my job as the head coach to make sure every person in the organization understands that our words and our actions have to match. And then finally, the 5th one is joy. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for me, not just to be here at LSU, but to coach college basketball and hopefully make an impact on people. I'm going to enjoy it. And the players who work their entire lives to get into a place like LSU, to get a world-class education here, to get to compete in the best league in the country, they need to enjoy it too. And their families need to enjoy it because it's hard work to get here. And so I think it's important that fun piece does not get lost in the business of college athletics today.
No question. We actually recently spent a lot of time defining our core values as a department, and I was involved with that process, and so it interests me. How did you develop those? Was that something you did over an off season? Is that something that developed over years and years? Not only the values themselves, but those definitions, because they're very specific.
It's really just a combination of all my experiences from playing, coaching, studying other coaches, studying leadership, and then trying to define a philosophy for me that I think will lead to great success with our program. And so it's evolved over the years. For example, the first core value used to be character. And I got to a point where we took character out. That's the price of admission. If you don't have character, you're not a part of our organization anyway. That has to be a given. And so we took the character piece out, bumped up hard work to number 1, and added joy as the 5th one. And that's made a huge difference in my life and hopefully the lives of our players.
How do you put those into practice? What tangibly? I mean, putting them on the walls and talking about them, but how do you make sure that they're living them and embodying them?
I think the consistent messaging of them. You could send me the greatest leadership video in the world today. I'm not sharing that with our team. There are thousands of things I believe in, but I want them to be things that our players remember. And so we just focus on those five core values. They're ingrained in everything we do on and off the court, academically, in the community, how we practice, how we get in the gym for player development, how we lift in the weight room. It's just a way of life. It's how we do it.
We talked a lot about qualitative stuff. I want to dig into the quantitative side. How do you measure success? Are you a metrics guy? Are you a analytics guy, stat guy? Whether it's individual success, team success, how big are numbers in what you do?
Well, we're really big into the analytics. We're going to study those for a lot of reasons. Everything in the organization has to be in alignment. And so when we study those things, those numbers, they have to align in player development process of getting guys better. How do we improve our team? Obviously, scouting of opponents and their personnel. So we use those numbers to help benefit the program, certainly. But ultimately, I'm not a guy who's going to sit here and say the goal is to win 27 games or to win this or win that. I think every team says that. Yep. Everybody wants to win. I'm more concerned with the process of how we go about doing it. My goal every year is the exact same. I want every person in our organization to max out and become the best they're capable of being. And ultimately, I want our team to come together as one and become the best we're capable of being. And I feel like if we follow our processes, invest the work that it requires, be very disciplined in our approach, and have a lot of fun along the way, the results and the score will always take care of themselves.
You mentioned alignment. That's been a big buzzword for us lately. We've talked about alignment a lot. That's one of your 5 team standards, right? Could you walk us through those as well and how they differentiate from the values?
Sure. First team standard's simple, and we try to run the program in a simple way. This isn't nuclear physics. We're coaching basketball. So number 1, simply be early. Number 2, bring the juice. I do better being surrounded with high energy people. Very passionate about what I get to do, and I want to see that passion throughout the organization. Number 3, we always put the team first. Doesn't mean we don't have individual goals, dreams of playing in the NBA, providing for our family, so on and so forth. That is obviously the case. But we always put the team first in everything we do on and off the court. Number 4, high level of communication. I think that starts with me. My communication one-on-one with players, their families, and circle of influence. I think a team as a coaching staff, you have to coach your coaches. Everyone has to be on the same page. And then obviously with the state of Louisiana, there's got to be a high level of communication there. This is a special place.
Yep.
And then finally is alignment. Just simply we all have to share the same vision. We're on the same mission. We share the same dreams. And then we can get more specific on alignment. But for a player, everything has to be in alignment. If you want to max out and go to the NBA and be a successful pro, and you want to win championships at this level, from your player development, strength and conditioning, rest, nutrition, academics, your approach in the community, I can go on down the line. All those things have to be aligned to max out and pursue your dreams to the highest level.
You mentioned the state of Louisiana. The first conversation we had in your some of your interviews you've done already, you talked about the brand of LSU and how that appealed to you. Could you speak to that? What was appealing about coming to this place and wearing purple and gold and those 3 letters across your chest? What did that brand speak to you as you were going through this process?
It's probably just my background, having the opportunity to play at Appalachian State, majored in marketing there in the business school. And I believe, especially today, your brand is so important individually for our players. They now have a brand, and we embrace that. But then to have that LSU across your chest when you walk in the gym means something. When you walk out, I can't wait to take my family out to Death Valley on Saturday night this fall. That means something. Those are iconic brands in all of sports. And so the Nike swoosh right there next to that LSU logo, another iconic brand in sports. And we wanted to be a part of something special like that.
I mentioned earlier the reaction from some of your former players, fans at Murray State. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, it's been so supportive. We have a lot of new LSU fans now. They're like, we can't wait to pull for LSU and Coach McMahon. I was reading an article in The Athletic that was written earlier this year by Brendan Quinn, and he talked about that place, Murray State, and the culture of basketball passion they have there. And in the article, they talk about how hard it is to leave that place. They had coaches come back, and I think you actually maybe spent 2 weeks at Louisiana Tech. Maybe I'll ask you about that in a second. But how special was that place, and how do you think it prepared you, the passion they have for basketball and then the passion that our fans have for every sport, really? How do you think that prepared you for this moment and this opportunity?
It's a special place, unique place, but very special. It's Murray State basketball is the pride and joy of the community. So people invest in it. It means something to the people there. They care. And so I think that helps prepare coaches. Been a lot of really good coaches come out of Murray State and go on and have great success from Final Fours, Sweet 16s, consistent winning on down the line. And I think Murray State has a lot to do with that. I think it's a place where the people want to see your players have great success on and off the court, just like I know it'll be here at LSU the same way. So it was a great experience for me and my family. We look forward to the community piece. We loved our community there. being a part of something like that, and look forward to doing the same things here in Baton Rouge.
So when LSU reaches out to you and talking with administration and Scott Woodward and they're recruiting you to come here, what about this place was special to you? We talked about the brand, but that included, but even beyond that, what other factors were? You've been at Murray State for 11 years. I mean, it's got to be hard to leave a place after 11 years. What was that? Those decision points, those turning points for you that made this decision the one you made?
The tradition. You go back and look at the history of the players that have come through here.
Some good ones up on that wall right there.
It's unbelievable. You know, some of the best players ever to play the game have come from here. The passionate fan base, being in the best league in the country in the SEC, and just the opportunity to go to a place and compete at the highest level of college basketball. And so I could keep going down the line, but you know, I'm always trying to grow. So being with the best athletic director in the country here, the other coaches here at LSU, Coach Mulkey, Coach Kelly, it's just an opportunity for me to win and to win big, but also continue on my journey of hopefully having a positive impact on a lot of people.
I want to do a quick lightning round with you at the end, just some quick ones, but I do want to ask you, the 2 weeks at Louisiana Tech, did you get to experience Louisiana at all? And the story there, because it's a good story, your relationship with Coach Conkle, y'all go way back, and I mean, he hired you, brought you in, and then he empowered you to go back and take your head coaching position.
Yeah, Coach Conkle, he's one of the best in all of college basketball. We were roommates together at the University of Tennessee over 2 decades ago. And families got to be close. We always talked about it. The first one who got a head coaching job, hiring the other one to come on board. And so he left Miami and took the Louisiana Tech job and called. Him and his family were incredible. And so it was impossible to turn down for me. I go down to Louisiana Tech. My family never packed a bag, never made any plans to move down there for whatever reason.
You gave away all your Murray State gear, didn't you?
Gave away all my gear. And 2 weeks later, Fred Hoiberg leaves Iowa State, goes to the Chicago Bulls. Steve Prohm goes from Murray State to Iowa State. And we were blessed to get the opportunity to go back. And Coach Conkle was all for it. And he's been great to me. And he recently just took the job at Tulsa. He'll do a fantastic job there.
I saw this season, I think it was this season, y'all chose a word to be committed to daily. Each individual in your program chose a word to be committed to daily. Is that something you'll continue here? If so, do you have a word that comes to mind first?
Potentially.
Okay.
Yeah, I think every team's different. We'll have a foundation of the culture of the program, but some of those type things, I've got to get to know players. That's a big thing for me right now, is trying to get to establish these relationships with players and their families, and then we'll worry about some of that stuff down the road.
Favorite form of exercise? You a runner?
I'm a very slow runner, but that would be my favorite form.
Did you run 100 kilometers in a month at one point?
We've done some of these running challenges. We did the Army 10-miler, which was awesome. We've done half marathons, and that's the limit. The full marathon. When I crossed the finish line, thinking go another 13.1 miles, no way.
Yeah, we got one here. I think that ends in Tiger Stadium in the middle of Death Valley at the 50-yard line. So we'll have to get you signed up for it. I think it's in December.
It gives me plenty of time because I got a lot of training to do.
I will not be joining you. I know you said you don't have much time to read right now, but book. You reading anything right now, or if not, the book that you've maybe recommended most to other people or given away most to other people?
Probably Bill Walsh, the legendary San Francisco 49ers coach. The Score takes care of itself. Learned a lot from it. It's about the importance of every person in the organization contributing to the culture and the foundation of what you do, establishing a winning standard of performance in all that you do, and being consistent in all those areas. So that's probably my favorite book I've ever read.
Best thing you've eaten since you've arrived in Louisiana?
Had an incredible piece of grilled salmon last night.
There you go. That'd
be number one so far, but I'm going to have to really get back on these running trails because the food is incredible.
I got two more for you. One, Coach Ja Morant. I know you get asked about that all the time, but I was listening to JJ Redick, one of my favorite players, has a podcast, and he talked to somebody about Ja being a basketball genius. And so I want to know what, not Ja specifically, but you could refer to him. What makes basketball genius? What identifies a basketball genius for you when you see a player that's clearly thinking the game or seeing the game differently? What are those characteristics?
Sure, combination of all those things: the vision on the floor, the understanding of the game, the ability to be a play ahead of everyone else on the floor. But then you have to combine that. John Morant's, he's a killer, man. Relentless competitor. No back down, no fear. He's gonna try and beat you every time. And then I would add finally to that, makes everyone around you better, makes everyone around him and the entire organization better. And you see that with the success the Grizzlies are having. This
is a different transition for you. You were at Murray State for 11 years. You're starting something new. Where do you start? What are the first pieces that you start putting in place here as you take on this challenge at LSU?
Number one, relationships with the players. There's a lot of work to be done there, so we're going to jump right in and invest there. I think the ability to establish the roster for next season is priority number one. Number two, finalizing our coaching staff here in the coming days. And then three, starting to lay the foundation. This is how we do it. This is how we build a program on and off the court. And it all comes back to that culture piece that we discussed, the core values, the team standards, the time investment in people. I grew up right there, as you mentioned, in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. Grew up watching Pat Summitt, coach the Lady Vols there. And every interview she always said, you win in life with people. And that's how we're going to build our program here, with great people.
Coach, I appreciate your time. I know it's been a whirlwind couple of days for you, so I appreciate you sitting down and getting to know you a little bit. Really excited about your future here and the future of LSU basketball, so thank you.
All right, thanks so much for having me, Cody. Really appreciate it.